So it's 1:15 in the morning, and I thought, what a better way to spend this time in the morning than watch some Bad Influence. Now, Bad Influence is for classic.
Hiya, welcome to Bad Influence, the only place you'll be able to see moving screenshots of the very latest
program.
Check this out, Streets of Rage 2
from ITV. It used to show, I think it was on a Thursday after school, and it used to
Ninja on the SNES.
talk about games and hardware.
And now be reporting from the world's
This guy,
virtual reality research lab.
Z Wright, from America.
I can tell you.
But I was never much of a fan on that section.
Z Wright, our American reporter, and we'll be seeing more of Z, including
Violet Berlin.
later on in the programme.
Presented by Andy Crane and Violet Berlin. There's Andy Crane.
Bad Influence Studio is the place to be. Why? Well, we've got such a range of equipment. Everything from this, remember this, the 10-year-old BBC Micro.
See, I love it how the BBC Micro was considered retro then. So we're talking 1992?
Whatever you've got, it'll be here.
10 years old. And I used to watch it thinking, my god, that's a relic. It was only 10 years old. There's a Neo Geo.
Look at the other amazing things computers can do. Brad and Gina.
Violet's got an Amiga 600.
Video calls were created on the paint
Oh,
like this one.
I love Violet Berlin.
Use a computer to do your painting. You can do all the things that pens and papers can do, and more.
I think part of the excitement of
Freehand drawing here, but then I can choose.
watching this back then was there was so many formats. You know, now we have PC, Apple. We had back then, this was the prime when we had Amiga, Atari, Sega, Nintendo.
Square or a circle.
We had various handhelds. We had the Game Boy, the Lynx, the Game Gear, the Quick Shot. It was like 6 different handhelds. Not to mention the consoles. It was a thoroughly exciting time.
You can use this airbrush facility as well.
God, I used to love watching this after school. I used to look forward the entire week to watching this 20 minutes of televised glory. Look at that. Violet, you've fucked that up majorly.
One of my favourites is this. It's called colour cycling.
Some
You can save it to a or print
VHS recording problems going on here.
it forever. Actually, this one's not very good, is it?
Look at that, Violet. You've excelled yourself on that one.
I don't think Rolf Harris has got too much to worry about, has he?
Yeah, he does. He's in prison, mate.
Which is Super Mario Paint, which will be available for your SNES.
Super Mario Paint.
Though, we do want to hear from you. If you've got computer-generated pictures, animations, graphics, anything we show on telly will get this. Go on.
See, this is the time when you could still send stuff in. Has anyone got a Bad Influence t-shirt? Because if you have, I'll give you, I don't know, my house for it.
Program. In fact, the address.
Been trying to find one for ages.
Will be in what we're going to call the data blast. To access it,
the data blast.
your humble video recorder. Video the last minute or so of the program, including the credits, which is the boring bit where everybody who made the show's names goes across the screen. Then when you've done that, rewind it and play it back. But don't play it back at full speed, using your pause and your frame advance if you've got one on your video.
It's a beautiful concept, isn't it? Remember, this was pre-internet days, so
be at your disposal.
this is kind of how we got our information. Unless you could afford to buy a magazine every month or two.
Hello, you slimy vertless.
We used to watch Bad Influence, record a data blast.
This, I've cracked it. And quite
There's
frankly,
Namrood.
you haven't.
Namrood is the cheats guy. He used to provide you with hints, tips and cheats from his... I think he was in the shed in the first episode.
Screen and waves his finger. Press. Up,
Down,
down,
left, right.
then quickly hit the
You can tell this is the first
All the levels are then listed.
Bad Influence because it's the most well-known cheat, possibly in
This
history.
is what level 2 looks like.
I don't think I've ever encountered anyone who has a vague idea about video games who doesn't know about cheat.
You can't believe a word he says, except when it comes to tips and tricks. And there'll be more coming up in Data Blast at the end of the programme.
Interestingly, Violet wasn't actually originally cast for this. She was on the production team and she said, oh yeah, I've got an interest in video games, and they roped her in to do it. Which is why you sometimes get some,
Caveman Ninja on the SNES.
I don't know, wooden performances from her.
Okay, this
But
is
in
fun to play.
quite a
It's good graphics. Oh, I've just fallen down a hole.
nice way.
A little angel comes up. You jump over, you've got to hit all the pterodactyls, falling down another hole.
Okay, we've got some reviews.
Jump over.
SNES, Joe and Mac, Caveman Ninja.
Wonderful caveman. And they stole all your women folk. So you've got to battle through each
I remember this game. I remember reading it in the Games Master magazine.
hitting people with your clubs. Basically, you just got to run through and save everyone.
So many platformers at this time.
Okay, I'm now on level
But
6.
so many variations on the platformer.
Caverns. I just picked up some rocks, they're different weapons. It's a great fun game. The graphics are smooth and cartoony. The sound effects.
Can't believe we used to rely on
level where it sounds as though you actually
TV to decide which games to buy. There was this, and there was Games Master, and then there was like an early morning review show, and that was pretty much your gaming knowledge in amongst Sega Power or Amiga format or whatever you read at the time.
That adds to the game. It makes it really addictive, and it's easy to pick up as well. It gets progressively harder as you go on. There's different dinosaurs, lots of different baddies, and it stops you getting bored. And the good thing about this game is, if you've got a friend, there's also 2 players.
It's quite raw, this program as well, but the reviewers are kind of stumbling over what they're saying, and he's not actually playing that at the time, but he's obviously...
Seeing it on the Game Boy.
Look how hard, look at him, he's all over that pad.
My idea, and the bird's brilliant.
It's a simple game, but it's really brilliant.
Yeah, some of these reviewers stand out. Some of them stick in your mind, I remember that guy.
Gave it 4 out of 5, and the girls gave it 4 out of 5.
Nice, 49 quid, bloody hell. Especially back then,
This one. Pauses. Continues.
25 years ago. With inflation, what's that? It's probably about 110 quid.
It's a way of jumping levels
For a
that
game?
you've already completed in a game.
It's a lot of
For
money.
example, this is a game called Dr. Franken on the Game Boy. At the start of the game, you can choose to enter a level code. Of course, there's only 2 ways you can discover the codes. After each level, they're displayed on the screen, or you can copy this down. You'll start on level 4, Triassic.
Cheers now.
Hey, look, Andy, I'm on level 4.
It's very good, Violet. Time now for an American report from Z Wright, who's on a sightseeing tour of Seattle.
Oh, it's Z, right? Now, this section is always the American bit. I wasn't ever that interested.
Often called the Emerald City,
It wasn't stuff you could
of Elliott Bay.
obtain, was it? It wasn't stuff you could get your hands on. It wasn't material. This was just something going on across the pond. Virtual reality as it happens. Look at the state of the virtual reality then. Imagine... It's no Oculus, is it? It's no Hive or Vive. This is the early days of virtual reality, when things were looking exciting, when there was so much potential. And, you know, we genuinely believed back then that in a few years we'd all have virtual reality and we'd be totally engrossed in these 3D worlds.
The newest ways for computers to present complicated information.
Did you ever go in those ones at the arcade? There used to be ones you could sit in at some arcades with a massive helmet you put on your head, like flight simulators and stuff. You paid like
For many jobs, this is still the best
£2 a go, which was a lot of money then, and you were on it for like
information that can be contained
3
on a
minutes.
flat screen.
I had to go once. Wasn't as good as I had hoped, which is probably why virtual reality didn't take off back then. Because
The images and sounds
just like looking at a screen really close to your eyes.
complete experience. There's one TV screen for each eye, and these are stereo
That
earphones.
is like an early
Now
Oculus,
on
isn't
top
it?
of the helmet
Look at
goes
that.
a Polimas. And
Is
it
that
has
massive
the computer track your movements.
Perspex shield over the top of it?
And there's a whole series of commands that can unlock secret worlds.
Underwater simulator. Oh yeah, look at that. Look how blocky it is. It's amazing.
Is the data glove.
Data glove.
Fiber optics to tell the computer
It's like the Nintendo Power Glove, but
up, down, forwards, or back.
possibly less successful
Fantastic
and
worlds are not just fun to fly in. They demonstrate
less useful.
developments in computer
I
science.
don't know.
They were made here at Seattle's Human Interface Technology Laboratory, or HITLab.
HITLab was set up because there was a demand for this technology in many, many fields. Architects wanted it, doctors wanted it.
Virtual technology allows scientists to get inside the human body. You can fly around inside a perfect replica of a human eye, pulling bits off when you need to get a closer look.
Now, this eye used to freak the hell out. I remember seeing this and thinking, look at that, you can see like little indentations on the left and right of the pupil. It's weird with a capital
We
W.
world to various developing countries and do surgery on blind people and teach the local shows how
can virtual reality really help with that? How can that help people what you couldn't get from just watching like an interactive CD-ROM?
They will see what looks like a real eye, and they'll be able to practice and be able to correct.
Did that ever take off? I've never heard of it recently.
Real people.
Look at this. That's quite a good modelled house. Look at it. It looks.
Shows how VR can be used by architects to design buildings to precise scale.
All these ideas that were being battered about. All these ideas for virtual reality. You wouldn't have to leave the house, would you? What a dream.
Sound that appears to come from the right direction to make the computer world seem much more real.
Oh, catching sharks in a net. Always a good thing to do.
This shark hunt game uses 3D sound, so the hunter can work out where the sharks are coming from.
Impressive stuff. 3D sound in a 3D universe.
At the moment, this is just a prototype for use in science labs. But a big game company is already working...
Doesn't seem very realistic, does it? The kind of checkerboard floor kind of detaches from... And the fact that you're catching sharks in a net.
The future's looking really good. Instead of buckets and wires, you'll be able to...
Oh, I said fuckets.
As easy as putting on a pair of specs. This is Z Wright for Bad Influence in Seattle.
Alright, Geordie.
In cyberspace.
A happening place to be. A very happening place to be, cyberspace. See you next week.
If you saw films like Lawnmower Man, you might have thought that virtual reality was more realistic.
Oh, Violet.
But these pictures show us exactly where
I think I'm just a little bit in love with Violet still.
Special effects.
It's also very difficult to convey what virtual reality is really like on telly because it's a three-dimensional thing, and telly, of course, is only two-dimensional. But for what it's worth, take my opinion, it's excellent. Now on Bad Influence, this week's news.
So you're talking about Lawnmower Man, Ben. Lawnmower Man was amazing when it came out on the SNES. Sonic 2! Sonic 2 hadn't even been released by this point. How amazing is that?
His friend's called Tails because he's got two, and in the two-player option...
I remember playing this for the first time on my mate's Mega Drive on two-player. I played it for hours.
And Tails can use both those...
I had a Master System at the time. I was like, oh god, I wish I had a Mega Drive so I could play it on two-player.
Don't forget also the Future Entertainment
Show. 1992, 5th to the 8th of November.
Bad Influence Film Crew. Future will be hosting the first Bad Influence National Games Championship. The preliminary round started across the country last week.
Look, he's concentrating.
The Manchester winner Jeff Treasure walked away with the finger fiddling and...
Oh, look at you got a Mega Drive and a SNES, you lucky bastards. Pristine condition. I bet you've lost the boxes.
That fearless little...
Mario Kart hadn't even been released for the SNES by this point. My god.
And enemies with him.
Mario's been very
so many exciting things going on around this time.
Out early December. It promises
technology advanced so fast. I think that's
and spin and even fly when you get
going back to the BBC Micro earlier. They were talking about it being retro.
Too much effort. Meet the turbo
touchpad.
Control pad.
Touchpads even then? Crap. Yeah, they were talking about the BBC Micro being retro, and that's because
longer versions to fit.
Technology was advancing so quick. Things seemed longer ago than they were, and that's like a proven psychological thing. So I hear. I think I saw Clint talking about it the other day. Lazy Game Reviews.
With weapons hidden inside ordinary-looking objects.
Street Fighter 2.
The biggest ever for the Mega Drive should be in the shops in January.
Remember where you saw it first, here on Bad Influence. Now for some more games reviews.
First up this week...
Putty! The Amiga!
It's a game like nothing we've seen before. A mixture of platform, puzzles and adventure.
It's still exciting watching this now. Remembering these games coming out, seeing them in the magazines and on here and thinking, ah, look at that.
Take them back to the spaceship so that they can go back to...
You can hear the clunking on the Amiga joystick there. Doesn't sound like a
bit hard to control because
Japanese console pad, does it?
Things
far more mechanical.
Squidges and slimes. I like Putty graphics because the colours make Putty stand out.
You've got a lovely British humour injected into games like this.
Backgrounds are good.
Worms. Even the Spectrum games, which which were based on strange comic strips.
Over there, there's
Viz.
Cracker with some sunglasses and a gun who's trying to kill me. I'd definitely buy Putty, and I've already...
Yeah, games on the Amiga and stuff were cheaper, weren't they? £25.99, far cheaper than the Japanese consoles, but...
The graphics are really good.
It didn't take off, mainly due to Commodore in America and their horrendous marketing of the Amiga over there.
5. And the girls gave it 4 out of 5.
Put all their money onto the CD TV, didn't they? Which was never going to work.
It's a classic arcade shoot 'em up based on a futuristic TV game.
Easy to say in hindsight, of course.
Here's Lakesh.
Smash TV on a Game Gear.
The idea behind it is quite simple. Just destroy everything on the screen.
I used to always get hyped when there were reviews on this show for the console I owned, which was the Master System. Game Gear was often seen more frequently because there were more games for it, and it was a more acceptable handheld format.
Not really getting very far.
By this time, the Mega Drive had blown the Master System out of the water, so Master System reviews were thin on the ground.
There are better games out for the Game Gear, and personally I prefer Pac-Man to it.
He prefers Pac-Man. Okay.
It's okay, but the directional fire isn't very good on the Game Gear.
And the scores for Super Smash TV, the boys only gave it 2 out of 5.
I like that review style. Yeah, I prefer Pac-Man to this game. You could just say that for every game you play.
And finally, it's Battletoads.
Battletoads, what a revolution this was in graphics. Look at that.
Really fun. And cartoons.
For the NES especially. The NES was released when? 1984?
And you've got
pretty incredible, really.
Twice in order for it to actually die. And then you pick up its bones, and you can hit them with this instead. This is level
especially
2,
this level. This level used to always completely flabbergast me.
Really amazing. I mean, just look at these pictures and the music.
Now, I could probably expect the Master System to do this because it was a bit more powerful, but the NES, never seen anything like it. Notoriously a difficult game, but
The game's just amazing, and I definitely.
$42.99 for a NES game.
The graphics are really good, but I'm not that keen on it. It's just gratuitous.
I mean, it was too hard for you.
I like the graphics.
Gratuitous violence, they're toads.
And the scores for Battletoads, the boys gave it 4 out of 5.
I bet he's a reviewer who reviews something like Mortal Kombat as well, and he's like, oh, this is awesome.
Tip of the week. I hope you still got that pen
Zool.
and paper ready.
All the Amiga Of course, this is sort of a time period when Amiga was at its peak as well.
Sandwiches. Zool is the best-selling game this week on the Amiga. And here's
I think in 1992, Amiga format sold 200,000 editions. It was the peak of its
flashes. Well, it would, wouldn't it? Because you're now in
publishing scope.
Cheat mode.
And there were, what, over 1 million Amigas in the UK?
Any world that you want. There are some other cheats on the other keys, but you'll have to find those out for yourself.
Oh, you cunning bastard, Nam.
Thanks, Nam. He'll be turning up every week with tips and hints and cheats. But don't let that put you off. There'll be some interesting...
I won't, Violet. I won't.
Yeah, we're going to be asking some serious questions of the game's manufacturers, like, why do console cartridges cost up to $65?
Exactly what I was talking about a minute ago.
Influence isn't just about games. We'll also be finding out about all the other exciting things computers can do, like this, for instance.
And now for something
More thing, like in the Michael Jackson video. Black or white.
I'm sorry, I'll say that again. And now
they always used to split this show into like the hardware part on the first half, and then after the ad break they'd have like more games and stuff.
Short for metamorphosing. You've probably seen it in commercials or films. This is Igor. Igor's a very clever little robot. He learns just like we do by trying things out, making mistakes and learning from them. Later
he's not doing very well, is he?
We'll show you how he learned to hop like that all by himself.
And don't forget the Bad Influence magazine available...
I think that lasted for 2, maybe 3 issues max before it was phased out.
And that's about it for this week, except the competition. And the question is as follows. What are the names of our 2 Humanosaur characters? That's those 2 on the screen.
Oh, I can't remember.
Here's a clue. The answer's not Violet and Andy, but if you think
can't remember.
It is, put it on a postcard or
Rex
a
and
envelope.
Tex?
Send it to us here at Bad Influence to reach us by next Monday, please. First out of the sack, we'll get a Nintendo Action Pack.
Oh, a Superscope, oh yeah!
You'll get a Bad Influence t-shirt as well. Don't forget to video the data blast for the address. That starts in a couple of seconds.
And we'll leave you with a clip of Sonic 2. It's a very
Violet
special
Berlin,
level.
your eyes are so beautiful.
Hedgehog know the code for.
See you Saturday, 9:25.
Oh, what's up, Doc?
Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, look at this. They've left us with some footage of Sonic 2. Bonus stage. If you want to... Oh, the data blast. Don't forget to pause this and chug your way through it. If you want to see the original of this video without me babbling all the way over the top, then check out Dynamite Heady's channel. I'll put the link below. He's got all these on there. There's some other places you can source them from on YouTube as well, but he seems to have the best quality ones, so check that out.